Hi, and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. Today I want to give you some ideas on how to use those small paper scraps, kind of like these. And I've got a great card layout for them. Not only will I be demonstrating one for you, but I have several other samples to share with you using different designer series papers and different accents. If this is your first time visiting my YouTube channel, I would love to have you subscribe. Click the subscribe button down below, and next to it you'll see a small bell icon. If you click on that, you'll receive notifications when I'm live here on YouTube, as well as when I upload a new video. Let's head over to the stamp table and let's get started on today's card. This is a small piece of pretty peacock cardstock. You're going to find all the cutting dimensions down in a link of the video description below that'll navigate you over to the pictures and the supplies as well. I'm going to protect my work surface because I'm going to do a little bit of stamping on this one panel for my card. And I'm going to be using the coordinating ink, which is the pretty peacock. This is the great thing about Stampin' Up! Products is the color coordination. And I've pulled out this small image here, and this is from the stamp set called Royal Peacock. This stamp set will be found in the Stampin' Up! Annual catalog, and I've pulled this image out simply because I'm using the coordinating designer series papers and foils from this suite of products. I'm going to ink up that photopolymer image, and I'm going to create a very random background. I'm looking to make this appear more like designer series paper than a stamped background. So you can see that I'm turning my cardstock, making it easier for my hand, just to provide a little bit of coverage everywhere on this paper. While I have that ink pad out, I'm going to bring in a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I've pulled out the greeting from a different stamp set. This is Happy Birthday. Even though the stamp set that I'm using doesn't have a birthday greeting, I love being able to rummage around in my stamp room to find other things that I have to use. This greeting comes from the Here's a Card stamp set, probably one of my favorites here in the Stamp Studio, basically because of the huge variety of greetings for both the inside and the outside of your cards. This stamp set can be found in the Stampin' Up! Annual catalog, and if you don't already have a demonstrator and you would like a copy of the annual catalog and or the holiday catalog, head over to lisasstampstudio.com and click on Contact Me. I'm going to stamp that right here in the center of that scrap. From the Stitch Nested Labels dies, I've gone ahead and I've pulled out one of the sizes here so that I can die cut this greeting. Love the staggered sizes here so that you can do layering and of course custom build them for the greeting or the image that you want to use them for. I love the trendy stitched frame that goes all the way around them. You'll find these in the Stampin' Up! Annual catalog. I've just used my die cutting machine, which has left us with this, and we'll be adding this to the card in just a few minutes. I have a couple other pieces here. This is from the Noble Peacock foil sheets, and this is from the Noble Peacock Designer Series paper. You can see the beautiful color coordination. As beautiful as this paper is, I decided to add a little bit of texture to it. And I'll be using the Beads and Baubles embossing folder. Now this embossing folder actually was designed to coordinate beautifully with this suite of products. And I'm going to run this through my embossing machine. That has left us with this beautifully embossed image. One thing about foil that I do want to tell you about is because there is that shiny surface on the top, if you use a deep embossing folder, very much like this one is because the impressions are very fine, it can actually leave a little bit of a burnished image on your foil, which I love for a very old-fashioned patinaed look. Setting the greeting aside for right now, I'm going to use the 3 panels that we have here, and we're going to attach these to the card base to be able to utilize them in a very unique way. I have a piece here of Whisper White cardstock. This measures 4 by 5 1/4. Again, those cutting dimensions are in a link below in the video description. Make sure you click Show More to expand that text. The Designer Series paper I'm going to mount here near the bottom, and I'm going to be using my silicone craft sheet for this. The one thing I love about the silicone craft sheet is that adhesive, liquid glue, and hot glue will not stick to it. So it allows me to be able to get edge to edge here on my paper without getting adhesive on my work surface. So I'm going to slide this over, and I'm going to place this down here near the very bottom of this cardstock. I'm looking to leave an equal amount of space around the 2 sides and the bottom, and then I'll press that in place. This panel that we stamped, we're going to add adhesive to this as well. So I'll go ahead and add that to the back side. This is going to go on the left-hand side of this layer. And for me, I find turning it horizontally is going to make it a lot easier because I want to make sure that this edge lines up as closely to this edge as possible. So I'm going to look and I'm going to mirror this edge, leaving a small space here at the top and here between that bottom panel. And then we've got the foil. So I'm going to set that aside and we'll go ahead and add adhesive to the back of this as well. This panel is going to go on the opposite side, so I'm going to turn it to make it easier for my hand because I'm looking again to align this edge up to the edge of this designer series paper. There's going to be a very small gap between the two center panels. As a matter of fact, one important tip I want to share with you is to make sure that these two panels that you've cut are exactly the same size. Otherwise, this layout's going to be very tricky for you to accomplish. By making sure that these panels are exactly the same size, you're ensured to have that small little margin of color peeking through the layers. And then I'll tap that in place. I don't want to deboss this image, so I'm going to flip it over and then I'll rub from the back. While it's flipped over, I'm going to go ahead and add adhesive to the back of my card. I'm going to work generously in my four corners. I'll leave that off here to the side. And I've got the card base, which is also pretty peacock. I did score it in half right before you joined me. I'm going to use my bone folder for that nice crisp edge. And I'm going to take this layer and I'm going to adhere it to the front of the card. Again, I'm looking to keep a margin of color at the top and the bottom and the sides. And again, I'm going to flip and I'm going to rub from the back because of that embossed foil. Remember our greeting? Let's go ahead and flip that over. I'll use several dimensionals to add them to the back side, and I'm going to use my Take Your Pick pickup tool. I've got the paper piercing tool attachment here, and I'll remove those paper backings, and then I'm going to center this all the way over to the right side of these panels for my finished card. Now you might remember in the introduction that I promised I had several other samples to share with you that are completely different as far as color is concerned, using this exact same scrap layout. Our first one uses the beautiful Mosaic Mood Designer Series paper. This paper is also specialty, so one side of it actually has a very glossy, almost tile type finish. From the Designer Series paper, I actually cut out the rose. It already has the leaves attached to it. I added some simple metallic threads to the back, a simple greeting from the same Here's a Card stamp set that I got this one from, and I played up that silver with a few rhinestones. And then my last sample is for Christmas. Again, all Designer Series paper. This is from the Let It Snow Designer Series paper stack. Love the color coordination, which makes it super easy to create. I actually punched a circle from that beautiful specialty paper that includes gorgeous glittered images, and then used a slightly larger punch here to mirror it to give it some accents. I would love to know which one of these cards is your favorite. Would you leave me a comment below? And if you have enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up here on YouTube because it certainly helps. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.